One day, a guy in Atlanta told me that usually, and he owned a company, usually the first person to interview for the job or the last person is usually the one who ends up getting the job. Welcome to another episode of Self-Employed Success Secrets, Monday edition with me, your host Marcus. On today's episode, we're going to talk about why last impressions matter more than the first. Contrary to what you've been told through conventional wisdom, and conventional wisdom has been called the scripture of mediocrity. Phrases such as a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, things like that, or all these other phrases that we've been taught that are just not true. And the reason why a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush is not true is that sometimes, how do you know that's true? And why not? That phrase basically says only focus on what you have right now and don't look to the future and have faith. There's a problem with that, okay? And the main problem that this video is going to solve is to help you see that a lot of things that we're taught are not true, and also that last impressions do truly matter more than the first. Another piece of conventional wisdom we're taught is, save for a rainy day. Something wrong with that is that it makes you assume that negative things are going to happen. Of course, adverse circumstances are going to happen, but when you just think about, okay, I need to save for a rainy day, I feel like it kind of conditions your mind if things happen. Okay, so back to our secret. Remember, today's secret is last impressions mean more than the first, okay? Think about the last person you hung out with, your friend, and see if this is a real thing. You can test it. Feel free to test anything that I talk about in these videos. Think about your friend, the last time you saw them. When you see them again, you're gonna think about the last interaction you had with them because your brain gravitates to what's easy. All of us, I think that's a part of being a human, is that whatever's easy, just go to. Okay, got my little food chart up there. And that's why you usually remember, that's why last impressions matter more than first. First impressions do matter, but not as much as the last. And that's why the person who usually interviews last or first gets the job, because it's easier to remember the first or last more than the 15th or the 17th. That's why if you ever apply for a job or apply for business if you're self-employed, is to first or do it last. Okay, and also, how does this relate to being self-employed? Okay, let's say that you sell ice cream. Okay, people are going to remember you based on the last time they ate there. So you want to make it good. If the last word you say to them is bye, come back next time, though, you're going to remember them because that's how humans are just literally made, okay? Remember, last impressions be more than the first. So I just want you to get this today, and also stay tuned for the end for a surprise, is that this matters because it's going to take off some of the pressure that I have to make a good first impression. You don't. Just make sure you make a good last impression. The last second someone sees you is good. A good time to leave is if someone's laughing or you're happy. Okay. And this is a very, very cool secret. It's truly a secret. This is not something that is taught. Last impressions mean more than the first. Okay. The reason why last impressions matter more than the first is because your brain has so much information that goes through it. It has to conserve energy somehow. That's why if someone asks you, hey, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite movie? It's usually the one that you've seen recently. That is called a cognitive bias. And there is a chart right here in my room. This is so important because our brain has all these biases in them, that I have a chart in my room of telling me how to, what's going on. So this is one reason why, we need information. And honestly, one reason why I felt the need to have just God in my life was because I just was learning that humans on their own are not they're just kind of sick and just irrational. Where is it? It's called recency bias. Where is it? Availability, social proof, excessive. As you can see, there's 25 of them. So lastly, and also stay tuned for a surprise, is that last impressions are more than the first. They matter more than the first because of just human psychology. People have a recency bias. People have to conserve energy in their brain. So you have to come to conclusions quickly. That would make sense. And so when you're dealing with people, just remember that they're going to remember you based on the last interaction. So when they see you again, whether it be a client or a prospective client or someone you work with, a friend, just try to end it well. Basically try to land the plane before you leave. So that way, when they see you again, you can take off again. It'll be good, okay? So if you leave on a bad note, that can be bad. That's why you shouldn't argue or fight with someone as the last thing, because they're going to remember you for that. Okay, so the very last instance they have with you, whether it's peaceful or problematic, is going to be is going to dictate how the next interaction happens. One thing cool too that I've learned is usually the first 5 to 15 seconds of an interaction with someone will spell out how the rest 3 hours will go. So the endings and the beginnings of anything with interactions with people are very important. I've also learned that when you have a negotiation with someone, if you started off with a handshake, it's more likely to go positive than if you don't do it at all. Okay, these are all secrets that I've learned, read about, observed, tested to help you on your self-employment journey. Okay, like let's say you're a carpenter. Okay, you build things and you want to expand your business. You got to talk to people. You got to have good relations with them. And that's what I've seen. Going to go see people is a great way to grow your business. But the main point is that last impressions matter much more than the first because of human psychology, biases in our brain, things like that. Okay, so hopefully you got something good out of this video. And last, remember, unsuccessful people make decisions based on their current situations, but successful people, you hopefully make decisions based on where you want to be. Don't make decisions based on these biases, okay? Understand that first impressions do not matter as much as last ones, okay? So hopefully you take this information and it's good for you. This is my calendar. Okay, bye. Oh yeah, for the surprise, always remember that, here's today's surprise. The surprise is that always remember that an excuse never improves a product or a result, okay? Avoid excuses and chase excellence, okay? Bye.